Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate that, and then I'd be able to send videos of watches like this to your inbox as soon as tomorrow morning. If you like this watch, you can buy it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Buy, trade, and sell luxury watches on thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing one of the stars of Audemars Piguet's SIHH 2017. This is the Royal Oak Offshore Diver. The reference 15710ST in a spectacular bright tangerine orange and navy blue tandem. And yes, bright tangerine orange is the Audemars Piguet technical term. The watch is wonderfully wearable for an offshore. Still 42 millimeters. You can see on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it's large, but that's the style. I'm going to back out a little bit so you have a larger frame of view. You get a better sense of the watch in proportion to my wrist. I believe you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 14.5 centimeters circumference, because first, it's on the wonderfully supple diver strap. Second, the divers are the thinnest and most wearable of the offshores. 42 millimeters doesn't include the diving bezel at 10 o'clock, nor does it include the crown and crown guards at 3 o'clock. The timepiece, though 42, does stretch broadly across the wrist. Offshores, like Royal Oaks, all wear larger than their nominal size. Think 44 when you hear 42 with the offshore. It's 53.8 millimeters lug-to-lug, but if you include the individual plots, these little intermediate links, you wind up with a rigid flare across the wrist that's a burly 58.7 millimeters. But don't think of the watch as quite that broad. The strap is wonderfully flexible and it will easily curve around your wrist. If you've been put off by stiff leather AP straps and bracelets, you really need to give the diver strap in natural vulcanized rubber a try. Now the case in steel, being as large as it is, it feels substantial. Close your eyes, you realize you're wearing something truly burly, tough, rugged, and made to last. It has the feeling of a luxury product, even eyes closed. Now the strap is a special piece. As you can see, AP uses these cut strap profiles that have more detailing to them than you might find on an injection molded piece. First, there's this wonderful granular texture, so it doesn't look like a sheer piece of flat and lifeless rubber. It has some rustication to it. You'll also note that the character lines nicely extend the lines of the plots, and there's even a little bit of a bevel along the flank, so it emulates the transitional bevel of the lug itself and continues that into the strap. Impressive. On the underside, you can see it is an AP factory strap, and it's matched by a Audemars Piguet simple satin finished stainless steel pin buckle. As you can see, it features broad AP-style apertures for the pin buckle. No part of this design is generic, and you'll note that it tapers nicely as it approaches the underside of the wrist, even as it swells to match the physical form of the lugs and not appear overwhelmed, metal to rubber. You'll note that the strap is held on by screws. AP, that's the right way to do it. Screws rather than spring bars on expensive watches and expensive and heavy watches. We get a little bit closer, the watch is off the wrist, give ourselves some more aperture so we have more light and focus in on this dial. Let's talk about case finish. Really, when you buy a Royal Oak of any description, offshore or standard, you're getting phenomenal finish. All of these surfaces have been executed by hand, and you'll note that all of the polish, being principally done with eye and feel, is remarkably symmetrical and even in both its proportioning and its taper. Absolutely gorgeous. You're not just paying for finish on the inside of this watch. There is a screw-down crown with a polymer shoulder that is used for rotating the internal dive bezel. Now I should mention the hexagonal bezel bolts on an offshore, still hexagonal, still aligned radially. They are steel on the offshore rather than white gold on the standard watch. When you line up that index, the triangular index with the minute hand, who needs a Royal Oak offshore chronograph when you have a dive bezel? Now this is an interesting 0 to 60 minute radial array. Easy to read, minute hand against a radial scale. It's easier to read than a chronograph. Most chronographs give you only 30 minutes, this gives you 60, and there are no downstream servicing costs for the Dubois Depraz chronograph module on the offshore chrono. Advantage diver. Now you'll also note that there's a lot of color on this dial. Whether you're a Chicago Bears fan, a New York Knicks fan, or maybe a New York Mets fan, and I'm sure I've left off innumerable global local football clubs, but this could easily be your team colors watch for the tailgate. Regardless of your loyalties, you'll find that the dial is richly appointed, and there's an overlap from the outer track to the center dial that I find very handsome. It adds three-dimensionality and pop to the dial. The center is mega tapisserie with a gloss coating, and as you can see, it's a composition of three primary colors. There's the white and the silver of the hands and the indices, there's the navy blue of the bezel and the hour track, and then there's that bright tangerine orange, and it's a sensational look. As ever, a sunken date, but not as sunken as you'll find on the chronograph. This one's closer to the dial because there's no chronograph module sitting on top of the diver, so it doesn't have quite the sense that you're looking through a manhole or a well at your date. It's a little bit easier to read, especially from an angle on the diver. Now, functionally, it's identical to a Royal Oak 15400. Screw the crown out. You do have 300 meters water resistance here rather than 50 on the standard Royal Oak 15400 or 100 on the standard Royal Oak chronograph, but you do get the caliber 3120 all the same. See if we can zoom in a little bit and get that back in focus. Okay, Audemars Piguet manufacturer caliber 40 joules beats away at, we'll unhack the movement, beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, bidirectional winding for smoothness, ceramic rotor bearings for, see how close we can get, for winding efficiency. You'll note the coats of arms of the Audemars Piguet family, as Audemars Piguet, founded in 1875, remains in the hands of founding family members and thus the oldest continuously family-controlled watch brand in Switzerland. You'll also note this 40 joule automatic with 60-hour power reserve features a broad batwing-like balance bridge. That and the free-sprung index help to dramatically improve the watch's shock resistance, and happily the 3120, which was introduced in the middle of the last decade, was designed from the beginning with the offshores in mind, so it was constructed thick and tough like a sports watch caliber. Not only does it feature the hacking or stop seconds function we saw a moment ago, but it also features a quick set so you can rapidly cycle the date. Nicely executed, beautifully finished. In addition to the engraved rotor, you have linear Côte de Genève perfectly aligned across the bridges. There's a tight and even perlage on the base plate beneath the balance, and you'll note that each screw head has been black polished. Handsomely made, tough in its construction, adjusted in multiple positions. This is an accurate, robust, and yes, in-house timekeeper. This watch has a lot of personality. It has a lot of presence. It has a lot of colorful presence, and yes, it is the most physically wearable of the current Offshore collection. If that sounds right up your alley, this just might be the ultimate summer fun watch for 2018. See it and own it on our website. And we're back with the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Diver. This beautiful bright orange tangerine watch becomes brilliantly green by night. Of course, the orange tangerine of 2017 released to mark 20 years since the original Royal Oak Offshore Color series from 1997. You can see this one in vivid orange with full boxes and accessories by light of day on our website.